The story begins with Kazuya overflowing with happiness at finally having a girlfriend. However, her joy is abruptly interrupted when she decides to end the relationship during the painful post-breakup. Instead of turning to friends, waiting to meet someone new, or seeking therapy, he opts to hire a rental girlfriend, a peculiar idea. So he sets up his first date. After paying for the services, they follow an itinerary and embark on a tour of the aquarium. During their meeting, Kazuya expresses his love for fish. As they say goodbye, the girl holds his hand and says she had a lot of fun, leaving him disconcerted and special at the same time. However, when he arrives home, he finds several negative reviews about her. Realizing that everything was an act, including the gesture of holding her hand, he evaluates her negatively. Despite his father being clear about the money being used for college bills, Kazuya decides to pay for one more date to express his feelings. On the second date, he questions the girl about her willingness to go out with people he doesn't like just for money. Even though she maintains her kindness, she reveals that she researched fish just for the meeting. Kazuya's outburst of emotions attracts the attention of everyone around him. She takes him to a more private place where she expresses her frustration at trying hard to be a good girlfriend while he just complains, forgetting that he was the one who hired her. At that moment, her cell phone rings, revealing that her grandmother is in the hospital. Even during their date, she accompanies him there, insisting that she is fine when asked. When inquiring about the girl's presence, Kazuya's parents state that she couldn't be his girlfriend as it would be impossible for him to have one. This reveals how people put their faith in him. To resolve the situation, he introduces Mizuhara as his girlfriend, surprising everyone. As usual, she plays the role of an adorable girlfriend perfectly, moving Kazuya's grandmother to tears. After her parents leave, she decides to share the news with her friends at the hospital, leaving the couple alone. Kazuya explains that his grandmother had visited the hospital a few times, making friends there. Mizuhara, in turn, reveals that his grandmother is also in the hospital and cannot know about her work as a surrogate girlfriend. To avoid being discovered, they hide in another room in the hospital. Mizuhara's grandmother's incessant search causes them to hide under the covers. Nervous about the closeness, Kazuya begins to feel desires, leading to an immediate kick from her. Just then, Mizuhara's grandmother finds them, believing they are a couple. The two little ladies are overjoyed at the coincidence that their grandchildren are dating. Unlike Mizuhara, who is not happy with the situation at all. Later, Kazuya apologizes for what happened and she replies that all they had to do was say they broke up and everything would be fine. He reveals that his grandmother's greatest wish was for him to find a good person before she died. Kazuya explains that he had gotten a girlfriend, but she broke up after a month. Determined to introduce his grandmother to a real girlfriend one day, he is slapped by Mizuhara, who claims she never wants to date him again. However, she makes it clear that if he feels lonely, she can call her. Determined not to stay with a fictitious girlfriend, he goes to college the next day, where he sadly runs into his ex-girlfriend. Unexpectedly, Mizuhara appears with a different look. Later, she approaches him asking him to keep the two of them a secret as she doesn't want anyone to know about her profession. To make matters worse, they discover that not only do they attend the same college, but they are also next-door neighbors. Mizuhara quickly hides in his house to avoid Kazuya, who is shocked by the coincidence. At home, Kazuya's grandmother calls, informing him that she will be leaving the hospital to visit him. Without the courage to tell her about the breakup in person, Kazuya begs Mizuhara to pretend to be his girlfriend for the last time, but she refuses, reminding him of the agreement. His grandmother arrives and he lies, saying that Mizuhara will be late, but she decides to eavesdrop and suspects that they have broken up. Surprisingly, the grandmother isn't upset, thanking Mizuhara for giving her grandsons some happy time. Thanking Mizuhara for her help, Kazuya asks her when she will visit her grandmother. Mizuhara responds that every Wednesday he can rent it as long as he doesn't look for it anywhere other than the agreed website. The following Wednesday, as agreed, Mizuhara shows up for another meeting, fulfilling his promise to bring joy to Kazuya's grandmother. Kazu and Mizuhara find his grandmother, and when they return, they are seen by Kazuya's friends, Kaibe and Kurabayashi. Enchanted by her beauty, friends invite the couple to meet at a bar. Kazuya accepts, even against Mizuhara's will, who is irritated by the continuation of the lie. He promises he will explain the situation later. Upon arriving at the bar, they are surprised to find Mommy, Kazuya's ex-girlfriend. Her presence makes the atmosphere uncomfortable. Mommy, however, reassures everyone by stating that she has already moved on. This makes Kazuya sad as he secretly wants to get back with her. In a conversation in the bathroom, Mami talks badly about Kazuya to her friends, which makes everyone uncomfortable. Mizuhara defends Kazuya, but he ends up taking Mami's side, causing Mizuhara to leave. After the tour, everyone says goodbye, and Mami acts as if nothing had happened. Later, Mami invites Kazuya to her house, but decides against it when she remembers that her brother took friends there. Kazuya, blinded by Mami's attitude, does not realize her intention to harm him. He lies about Mizuhara's absence due to lack of money to rent her. Next, Kazuya imagines how perfect it would be to get back together with Mami to make his grandmother as happy as she was upon meeting Mizuhara. He decides to sort things out with his ex-girlfriend during the trip. Then we see a man on Twitter reveal his real intention to break up the couple out of anger at Kazuya being with someone else. Meanwhile, Mizuhara is also on the same beach with her friends. Mami, pretending to be friendly, shows her bikini to Kazuya and comments on their relationship, recalling moments together, including a kiss. This makes Kazuya feel like getting back together with her. However, Mizuhara and her friends appear, leaving him afraid of being recognized by Mizuhara's friends. Luckily, this doesn't happen, relieving them and leaving them unsure of how to act. Not knowing how to deal with the situation, Kazuya goes to the bathroom thinking about how everyone would react if they knew the truth. Mizuhara, thinking the bathroom was empty, opens the door and is pulled inside by Kazuya. He thanks her for everything she did, but expresses his intention to get back together with Mami, wondering if Mizuhara would be upset. This angers her, and she reminds him that they were dating because she was being paid to do so. At this moment, Mami appears at the door, suspicious when she hears Kazuya talking to someone. Kazuya tries to lose her by quickly leaving the bathroom. Mizuhara leaves next, adopting her girlfriend appearance to hide her true identity. This leads the friends to think that the couple was messing up in the bathroom, and they ask several questions. Kazuya makes up several lies, angering Mizuhara. He decides to take a swim in the sea, realizing that she is too much for him. Just then, Chizuru appears, asking Kazuya to help her find her lost bracelet. When she slips on a rock, she falls into Kazuya's arms and takes the opportunity to kiss him. Meanwhile, in the circle of friends, a girl comments about Mizuhara leaving her boyfriend on the beach near other girls, but she trusts him without imagining the kiss that is happening between Kazuya and Mami. Kazuya remembers how it all started with Mami and his vow to make her happy. Mami apologizes for the kiss and leaves after conveniently finding her lost bracelet. Kazuya's grandmother calls to inform him that she will soon be discharged and can see him whenever she wants. Upon returning to the table, Kazuya realizes that everyone believes Mizuhara is rich due to a lie he told. They plan a party at her supposed mansion, but Mizuhara decides it was the right time to reveal that they were breaking up. She punches Kazuya, calling him trash for looking at Mami even though they were dating, thinking that was the reason for the breakup. Kazuya explains to Kaibe that he didn't understand the pain he felt after breaking up with Mami, leaving everyone distressed. Her girlfriend questions Mami, pointing out that she was also wrong to pay attention to a guy who chose to break up just because she was dating someone else. Mizuhara sensibly leaves. After the dust settles, she finds Kazuya and suggests that her friends didn't know the whole story, so he shouldn't feel bad. Kazuya shares that his grandmother has been discharged, and Mizuhara comments that her grandmother will be discharged soon as well, suggesting that the time is right to put an end to the lie. He apologizes for everything he put her through, and she consoles him, telling him that he can be a man when he tries. Then, Mizuhara calls Kazuya for a talk, and he, seeing the two together, initially thinks that her friend is flirting with her. However, he realizes that Kazuya is actually exposing his good qualities and asking for another chance. Kazuya cries emotionally and thanks his friend. Kurabayashi decides that, as Kaibe insisted, the two of them should go on the ferry so as not to upset him. Mizuhara agrees to meet one last time on the ferry. However, Kurabayashi starts to feel sick, and Kazuya comments that he would give her 10 stars for being amazing, promising not to bother her anymore. After a while, a girl calls Kazuya, asking to meet him at the hotel pool. Since he's on the ferry, he says he's busy, but if he can, he'll meet her later. Meanwhile, Kurabayashi, increasingly worse, approaches the edge for air, but ends up falling. Kazuya, distracted by his cell phone until then, realizes what happened and immediately drops the device to help her. He manages to save Kurabayashi, but ends up fainting, leaving Mizuhara completely desperate. Mizuhara, desperate, calls for help and tries to make Kazuya wake up. With no other choice, she performs mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, saving her life. When he finally wakes up, confused, she thanks him for jumping in after her. Rescue arrives, and they spend the rest of the trip at the nearby hospital. At the end of the trip, the two say goodbye, and Kazuya thanks her for going so far to save his life. She minimizes the gesture, saying that it was no big deal as they are lovers, maintaining the appearance of a couple because of friends who believe that they understand each other. Kazuya, in turn, thinks that for her, a kiss couldn't be much. However, we see that Mizuhara doesn't stop thinking about him, unlike Mami, who shows that she doesn't want to know him anymore. Back at home, Kazuya starts looking at the photos posted by the class. When he comes across a bikini photo of Mami, his hormones stir and he begins to imagine hot scenes with her. However, in the midst of these thoughts, Mizuhara keeps appearing in her mind, even though he tries his best to avoid her. Interestingly, the memories with Mizuhara were cute and only portrayed moments spent together, unlike Mami's sensual images. Kazuya realizes that he was actually liking Mizuhara and days pass. His family decides to go on a trip so his grandmother can relax and recover. When he gets there, he is surprised to realize that his grandmother invited Mizuhara's grandmother too. The two ladies stay in the same room and give Kazuya the room key. As he leaves, he realizes that the two ladies were up to something. Upon returning to the room, he finds Mizuhara leaving the bathroom and doesn't understand what happened. Ruka, who is no fool, understands that her grandparents had set this up. They question the grandmothers, who say they could stay in the same room as they are boyfriends. Mizuhara explains that it wouldn't be appropriate since they had never done that before, but the grandmothers call the two modest and give them permission to do whatever they want. Thinking that the only solution would be to pay for another room, they both realize that they are out of money. Kazuya questions why she is so expensive and suggests they take advantage of the time to have fun, proposing to tell their grandmothers that they are done. However, upon arriving at the foyer, they meet Kazuya's grandmother, who is talking to Mizuhara's grandmother. The latter praises Mizuhara, saying that she is like a ray of light that illuminated the family. Mizuhara's grandmother feels bad and asks her what she would think if she knew she was lying. Kazuya's grandmother responds that everyone lies, and even if Mizuhara was an alien, she would still like her. This makes Mizuhara stop talking about the breakup. Later, the two decide to enjoy the trip, and at bedtime, Kazuya mentions that she will sleep in the hallway. Mizuhara suggests that they could sleep in the same room without any problems. Kazuya, with his uncontrollable mind, thinks nonsense, making Mizuhara kick him when he notices her expression. She clarifies that she didn't ask him to sleep there out of interest and threatens to take him to court if he tries anything. At night, Kazuya cannot sleep, worried about what Mizuhara must think of him. However, he decides to express his feelings, saying that he didn't want to break up as he felt that with her he could become a better person. Mizuhara responds that he can continue renting her as part of his job is helping customers, and since the main objective is for him to get a new girlfriend to introduce to his grandmother, she would continue to be his rental girlfriend until then, helping him improve. A few days pass and they tell Kazuya's friends the news, leaving everyone happy except Mami, who watches everything from afar. Later, Ruka reinforces the idea that dating should be paid for and he could be honest in his reviews of the service. Kazuya is enchanted by Mizuhara's girlfriend mode. She notices that her cell phone is broken and he explains that he damaged it when jumping from the ferry but reassures her that it still works. Kazuya again wonders if he will ever get a girlfriend, but Mizuhara reassures him, saying that he will be there to help him maintain a positive attitude. When they are about to leave, they bump into Kaib, who tells them something new: he is also dating. Before they can say anything, Kaib arranges a meeting for couples. Kazuya wonders how even his friend got a girlfriend and he was still renting. Suddenly, he bumps into a girl with a bow who leaves irritated. On the day of the couple's meeting, Kazuya discovers that that girl was his friend's girlfriend, named Ruka. They start having fun on a climbing wall and, after a while, Ruka calls Mizuhara to go upstairs. Once there, Ruka confesses that she knows Mizuhara is a rent-a-girlfriend. Mizuhara denies it, acting as though she doesn't understand, and goes back to warn Kazuya. Their secret is at risk and they are both distressed. They take advantage of a moment when Kaib walks away to try to explain to Ruka that they really are lovers. She asks them to kiss as proof, but Mizuhara kisses Kazuya with his hand in front, hiding the supposed fake kiss, giving the excuse of being in a public place. Kazuya almost has a breakdown with the near exposure of the fake kiss. Ruka is not convinced as she didn't actually see the kiss, leaving them both afraid of being discovered. When Kaib returns, Kazuya quickly comes up with an excuse to end the meeting, saying that Mizuhara needed to leave. She continues on her way as the three walk together. Determined not to leave the couple alone, Ruka decides to say goodbye and go her own way. Kazuya, overcome by despair, decides to do the worst thing at that moment, go after Ruka to try to convince her to keep quiet. However, this only makes Ruka more certain that she was correct about Mizuhara being a rental girlfriend. As she follows Ruka, she questions why it would be so bad for someone to find out about them, figuring he must have rented Mizuhara for a silly reason. In the midst of the confusion, Ruka trips and falls down the stairs, and Kazuya rushes to protect her, placing them in a dedicated position. He begs Ruka not to say anything, arguing not only for him but also for Mizuhara, showing concern beyond what she should have as a simple rental girlfriend. Kazuya confesses to Mizuhara that he is also a girlfriend rental client. Later, when researching Mizuhara's name, he confirms that Ruka told the truth, making sense for her to know about Mizuhara since they were in the same profession. The next day, Kazuya awaits Kaiba's arrival, but Ruka appears infiltrating the college. He worries about Kaiba's reaction to seeing them together, but when Kaiba appears, Kazuya runs into a room to hide. Kaiba thanks him for renting Mizuhara, leaving Kazuya embarrassed for being exposed. After that, Kazuya tells Mizuhara what happened. When Kaiba appears, she explains that Kaiba had mentioned where he lived, and Kaiba identifies Mizuhara's voice, questioning their proximity to a fake couple. Kaiba then promises to keep their secret on the condition that he dates Kazuya. Mizuhara agrees, explaining that Kazuya's preoccupation with a surrogate girlfriend made her think he must be an amazing person. They ask for a moment alone at a gazebo where Ruka asks Kazuya how he feels about Mizuhara. Kazuya responds that he thinks she's beautiful, but considering her true feelings, it wouldn't be fair to her. Mizuhara then intercedes, suggesting that if he gave in at that moment, Ruka would blackmail him forever. Despite this, they still face the problem of Ruka spreading their secret. Kazuya decides it's time to tell his friend the truth since they share the same secret. Kazuya agrees to date Ruka to prevent her from spreading the secret. However, Ruka becomes very clingy, demanding attention all the time, leaving Kazuya distressed. With Christmas approaching, he thinks about booking Mizuhara to spend time together, but finds that she is already busy at the top of the list of newbie rental girlfriends. Intrigued by why she chose this profession, he gives up thinking about it and realizes that he will spend Christmas alone. On Christmas Eve, when leaving home feeling sad, he finds Mizuhara with another customer. Observing the customer, Kazuya becomes nervous and wonders why someone beautiful would rent a girlfriend. For the first time, he considers the possibility of Mizuhara having a real boyfriend. He thinks it would be cheeky for her to act all cute with clients while having a real relationship. After spending the next day together, Kazuya is too depressed to continue. Upon deciding to leave, he finds Kaiba in the bathroom where he hears a suspicious call about Mizuhara. Fearing that she is involved in some scam, he decides to follow them to protect her. After the misunderstanding at the motel, Ruka feels betrayed and takes Kazuya away. She drags him to a motel, making him nervous, but she explains that the intention was to better understand why he got involved with Mizuhara. Kazuya explains that it was because of his grandmother, but Ruka, for the first time, suggests introducing Mizuhara to her grandmother to resolve the problem. However, Kazuya explains that the grandmother has already become attached to Mizuhara, making it difficult to replace her. Ruka reminds Kazuya that he cannot be intimate with Mizuhara, and he despairs. On New Year's Eve, Kazuya and Mizuhara agree to spend the afternoon with his family, but everyone is surprised when Ruka shows up to the meeting as if everything is normal. She had seen the message from Kazuya's grandmother arranging the meeting when he went to the bathroom at the motel and had the idea of showing up there. Kazuya's family is perplexed by the situation. While Kazuya's family is uncomfortable with Ruka's presence, she tries to fit in, asking questions about Mizuhara and his daily life. Ruka realizes that Kazuya's grandmother doesn't just want a girlfriend, but a friend for him. With this understanding, she gives up on telling the truth about her and Mizuhara. Kazuya, relieved, notes that the situation has not been discovered. Over time, Ruka continues her attempt to win over Kazuya, but he remains loyal to Mizuhara, although their relationship is complex. Mizuhara, for her part, remains a rental girlfriend, but also makes it clear that she wants to be more than that to Kazuya. The story continues to explore the challenges and complicated emotions involved in the lives of Kazuya, Mizuhara, and Ruka as they deal with secrets, confusing feelings, and the complexities of seemingly artificial relationships. As the days go by, Ruka, despite her initial confusion, comes to understand Kazuya's situation better and accepts his decision to remain with Mizuhara. She realizes that Kazuya's grandmother is more interested in having a friend for him than a girlfriend. Kazuya, in turn, deals with the dilemma of working at the karaoke place where Ruka is also employed, making it even more difficult to avoid her constant presence. Meanwhile, the friendship between Mizuhara and Ruka develops, and Kazuya decides to use his first salary to rent Mizuhara again, but this time for a date with his friend Kuryabashi. At the meeting, Kuryabashi initially believes that he will find Kazuya but is surprised to see Mizuhara as the rental girlfriend. However, over the course of the meeting, Kuryabashi realizes that there is something peculiar going on and questions Mizuhara about her work as a surrogate girlfriend. She, in turn, manages to avoid the questions with her sweet skill. Meanwhile, Kazuya overcomes his relationship trauma by going on a date with a perfect girl Mizuhara hired. When Mizuhara joins them after their date, Kazuya's two friends start talking alone, laughing about how they have both hired rental girlfriends. At the end of the meeting, Kuryabashi asks Mizuhara if she has ever fallen in love with a client, and she, momentarily stuck, manages to dodge the question, thinking about Kazuya. Kazuya, now involved in a series of unexpected events and encounters, realizes that his love life has become even more complicated. He unknowingly gets involved in situations that create misunderstandings and challenges. As he tries to understand his own feelings, the presence of several girls in his life begins to cause confusion. When agreeing to go out with Mizuhara's friend, Sami, Kazuya is surprised by her extreme shyness, but at the same time he is enchanted by her effort to overcome her limitations. During their date, Mami, his ex-girlfriend, observes them and, upon finding Sami with Kazuya, makes wrong assumptions about his love life. The situation becomes complicated when Kazuya is seen with Sami by Mami. When trying to explain that Sami is a friend of Mizuhara, he ends up creating a misunderstanding, causing Mami to think that Kazuya is cheating on Mizuhara and becoming popular with women. Despite the misunderstandings, Kazuya consoles Sami, praising her efforts and encouraging her to continue as a surrogate girlfriend. The interaction with Sami leaves Kazuya intrigued, and when researching her on the internet, he discovers more about her profession, which could lead to unexpected revelations and future challenges in his love life. Kazuya, upon meeting Mizuhara, discovers that she has gotten a job as an actress in a play and therefore will no longer need to work as a rental girlfriend. This news makes Kazuya sad, as he was afraid that without the excuse of work, they would have no reason to continue seeing each other. On the same day, Mizuhara was scheduled to meet with a client for the first time. However, to their surprise, the client was actually Mami, her ex-girlfriend. This unexpected revelation creates a complicated situation, since Mami was trying to keep her identity secret. Now, Mizuhara must deal with this peculiar encounter. Meanwhile, Kazuya has an appointment with Ruka and he begins to consider making his relationship official with her. Ruka, who was trying hard, makes Kazuya rethink his feelings and the possibility of having a real girlfriend. The story continues to explore Kazuya's encounters and disagreements, creating an engaging plot full of twists and unexpected developments. Kazuya, upon seeing Mami and Mizuhara together at karaoke, becomes frustrated with the situation. He confronts Mami, questioning the real reason behind the meeting, accusing her of deceiving everyone. Mami responds, suggesting that Kazuya and Mizuhara's lying needs to stop, as long as it continues, Kazuya will never have a real relationship. Feeling pressured and frustrated, Kazuya decides to take time off work by pretending to be sick. He rushes to find Mizuhara and Mami, worried about the possible consequences of this meeting. The situation becomes increasingly complex, with Kazuya trying to understand the truth behind recent events and deal with the conflicting emotions between him, Mami, and Mizuhara. Kazuya, after witnessing the conversation between Mizuhara and Mami, feels deeply frustrated. He meets with Mizuhara later and, upon hearing the situation with Mami, apologizes for not being able to reconcile them. Feeling overwhelmed by his emotions, he finally confesses to Mizuhara that the person he really wants is her. However, Kazuya quickly backs down, claiming he only wanted her as a rental girlfriend and hastily says goodbye. Meanwhile, Mizuhara, upon returning home, is visibly disturbed by Kazuya's confession and, at the same time, confused by her own feelings. Kazuya, in turn, reflects on how he almost declared himself, but believes he has no chance with someone like Mizuhara. Meanwhile, Kaib tries to understand what happened in this complicated situation. And then the anime ends. If you liked this video, leave in the comments what you thought of the summary and tell me if you want the video about the second season. Leave a like and subscribe. To the next.